Hey guys, what's happening? So jumping back into one world under Doom. In this one, the Fantastic Four think they have the perfect plan to make Emperor Doom step down, only to find out that Doom has other plans for them. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so the first thing we're shown in issue 2 is a ton of news updates, much like what we got in issue 1. But the biggest difference between then and now is Doom's announcement and him taking action. Because before, a lot of these headlines focused on the state of the world and how bad things were at the time. But now that Doom has literally made the world a better place overnight and really better for the people, more so than some of your huge corporations, while still managing to double the global GDP. And now this has caused the headlines to show that Emperor Doom's positive impact, as well as how he's being perceived by the public, both have increased substantially since Doom has taken over, because the number of people who globally approve of his changes has jumped from 5% to nearly 15%. And there's even been leaked information from the World Health Organization showing that because of Doom's changes, with the new hospitals going online and the truly free and universal healthcare, the number of lives saved could be measured in the millions. So yeah, regardless of how the other 85% feel about it, Doom is saving a lot of lives, and the number of people who rock with him is already tripled. And when we head over to the Fantastic Four, who are currently stopping a police chase in Arizona, while they're just casually having a conversation about the whole Emperor Doom situation, where on one hand Ben is like it's not tolerable, and Reed's like it's not so much a case of tolerating it, they were outmaneuvered. And the way he sees it, now they have an advantage, because aside from the world leaders, only a few people welcome Doom as a legitimate ruler. And that's where Sue makes a logical point, because she's like a few isn't the same as none. And at the current rate that people are siding with Doom, and I wouldn't even say siding with Doom, more so accepting, again, that number has already tripled. And Reed can't even blame them for it in some cases, because recently he looked into the schools that Doom put up, just to make sure they weren't no mind control facilities or nothing crazy like that. And it's kind of funny how when Reed brings this up, Johnny's ready to hear that it's something crazy so he can take care of it. But when Reed looked into the schools and the universities, not only did he not find anything nefarious, but come to find out these schools have a more ambitious curriculum, and Reed would go as far as to call it laudable. So while Reed was looking to find something crazy, he just ended up being like, man, I gotta give Doom his props, cause he's actually out here making the world a better place. Who would have thought? Not Reed. And of course, you got Johnny and Ben who believe there's gotta be more to it, because with Doom there usually is. But at the same time, having this conversation in front of the general public, where Sue was like, Doom's trying to win politically, claiming the hearts and minds of the people, only to have Johnny like, oh, okay, let's just beat him up in front of everybody. And later on, Ben's like, you know how much Doom hates to lose to us in front of an audience? And I can only imagine some of the people who are nearby listening are just like, man, the Fantastic Four are some haters. Because having a conversation like that out in the open, it's not a good look. But after stopping this armored vehicle while they're waiting for the police, Valeria reaches out to Sue. And she's like, hey mom, you remember Bentley from the Future Foundation? He's worried about Doom, and I think he could use a friend. Can I take the teleporter to NYC? So Sue's like, of course, just be home for dinner. But when Valeria makes her way to New York City, to the Baxter building, we find out that she's actually made her way here to see Doom. And this is because of her asking Doom to meet. So when she gets here, she gives Doom a great big hug, since Doom's a more affectionate godfather than Reed is as an actual father. And aside from that, Doom's pleased to see that Valeria's on time. And to keep this meeting under wraps, she made sure that Doom was unopposed and unrecorded, and he assures her that he hasn't done anything untoward while he was here in the Baxter building. And it leads to a funny exchange because Valeria's like, I know, Uncle Doom, you gave your word. And Doom's like, yeah, just as you gave your parents your word, you were coming to New York for Bentley 23. So she tells him it's not really a lie, it's more like an admission of truth, because she's gonna go see him after they're done. And that in itself just has me thinking about how Doom became Sorcerer Supreme. Because at the end of Blood Hunt, Doom didn't lie to Doctor Strange when he told him that he was borrowing the title of Sorcerer Supreme. Doom just didn't tell him when he's gonna give it back. But this moment leads to a conversation that Valeria wants to have with Doom. And before they get into it, they both express how they're very straightforward and honest with one another, as opposed to how they may bend the truth with others at times. And Doom even tells her here, you are a young woman who has already exceeded the high expectations I'd set for you at birth. You hold Doom's favor, Doom's respect, and Doom's love. Few have experienced the merest taste of any. None have ever possessed all three. I keep no secrets from you, Valeria, and I shall continue to do so. And I gotta say, I think it's really important to have Doom say this here, to more or less let the casual person know what Valeria means to Doom and how he sees her. Because now when we get into why she's asked him to meet, she tells him to give her the truth, to make her understand, and tell her what's this about and what he's planning. because this now lays the groundwork for what comes next, because right away Doom says, why tell Valeria when I can show? So he snaps his finger and he takes her to Toronto, Canada, in a way where they can't be detected, as they enter a municipal government building. And it's here where Doom basically asks her to justify it, and she's like, what, municipal government? And he tells her, no, democracy. This one, anyone, it doesn't matter. Defend democracy to me. So she thinks about it for a moment before telling him, okay, I defend it by looking at the alternatives. Consider a world without collective action, without government of any kind. Everyone is fighting for their own self-interests, without rules, without organization, without a way to stop bad actors. And Doom tells her, precisely, Valeria. That's it, precisely. You impress me even now, getting to the heart of matters right away. In an anarchy of individuals, there's no authority, no control. Opportunities are lost over and over again, as power only comes from strength, with alliances forming and breaking out of mere self-preservation. It is chaos without room for morality. It precludes progress, and you rightfully refuse to accept such a system. Why then, if you reject anarchy at the level of the individual, do you accept it at the level of nations? So Doom snaps his finger again to take Valeria above the world, as he tells her, until Doom, our world was a confusion of 200 competing nations, Valeria, each fighting and scheming for their own self-interests, with no authority to bend those impulses to useful ends. It was the very definition of anarchy. And by your own admission, it should never have been tolerated. And Doom makes a really good point here. But even still, Valeria's like, okay, that might be how you sell it to others, but I know you're not just doing this for the goodness of humanity. So she says here, tell me the truth. And she's like, don't just say you're doing it for me. So Doom lets her know here, the truth is simple. It always has been. I seek glory. And you know, when Doom said that, it made me think of that one friend who just platinums every game, or that friend who plays every Souls game, and is like, man, why do you do it? Well, I seek glory. And I'm just kind of like, alright. And Doom goes on to say here, there's no greater motivation, no greater proof that my efforts are sincere in uniting the world. I have already done what others have long said was impossible. So Valeria tells him, but these changes you've made, you've done it without consideration for freedom, for consent from the governed. Imposing your rule on people is just fascism. But Doom cuts her off and he's like, no, fascism builds its foundation upon a lie, Valeria. My rule is founded upon truth, that Doom is the best of us and the only one qualified to achieve this great unification. So Valeria tells him, I'm sorry, but I can't follow you there. A claim like that, you need proof. So Doom tells her right away, which is why I'm working very quickly to prove it to the world, to earn its consent, including from you, Valeria. Doom hopes he will convince you. But given the circumstances, Valeria doesn't know if she should say she hopes he does. So Doom tells her, then say nothing and let my actions draw you toward your own conclusion, just before he sends her back home, in time for dinner. But now it's kind of like, you know, Valeria said she was going to see Bentley 23, and she meant to, but now she's basically a liar. Thanks, Uncle Doom. And just after this, we jump forward to the next day at the UN HQ, with Doom presenting his next broadcast, where just outside the Fantastic Four show up. And when they do, they're met by a bunch of Doombots, so you know what time it is. But Reed also makes sure to scan them, just to make sure that these are actually Doombots and not some kind of trick where there's really people inside. And Sue confirms this, so they tell Ben that he can just completely let loose. Meanwhile, inside, Doom's addressing some of the initial hostility that took place when he began his New World Order, which he just describes as unpleasantries during the transition, but as a result, everyone's lives has been better, day by day. And now that they're a united Latveria, they're gonna act like it moving forward. So Doom tells them here, it cannot be, and thus it never was ethical, to forever treat someone as lesser, simply because they were born on the wrong side of an imaginary line. No longer shall anyone be made to suffer from the accident of their birth. Doom consigns this idea to history, to molder alongside slavery and other abominations of human ingenuity. You may live and work in whatever nation you choose. All shall have free movement from anywhere to anywhere. I give you the gift of open borders. Doom has given you schools to improve your minds. He's given you hospitals to improve your bodies. And now Doom gives you freedom. Go where you want. Go where there's opportunity. Move freely. And remember that, while any of your leaders could have granted you these freedoms, only Doom chose to. Only Doom made this happen. And only Doom can save you. And it's right here where the Fantastic Four just barges in. And Ben's like, we came here to say it to your face, Doom. You're a fraud, a monster, a thief. You can't be trusted and the world doesn't want you. And Reed's just like, this has gone on enough. Those who love freedom will never kneel to you. And that's where Johnny and Sue basically give him an ultimatum. Or the Fantastic Four kicks his butt, exposes him to the world, and then after that, Doom steps down. But in response, Doom's staff, these guys reach for the Doom Blickies. And it's right here where Doom tells Reed, you and your ridiculous family have been eager to attack me. But one wonders, if you would be so eager to fight innocents instead. And keep in mind, this is all in the middle of Doom's broadcast, so the world is watching here. But instead of the Fantastic Four coming here and making Doom look crazy, he's basically pulled a reverse Uno, and he's turning that around. So Doom tells them, know this, Fantastic Four, these are civilians, ordinary people, who happen to believe in what I'm doing. They don't live in fancy towers as you do. They don't have a second home as you do. These are merely the great quotidian mass of men and women you've sworn to protect. Will you attack them, Richards, here in the United Nations? Or perhaps you'll try to crush their weapons in your force field, Susan, just like you did the security outside. Before you do, know this, their weapons are rigged to explode if tampered with, or if removed from their hands unwillingly. You'll kill them all. So right here, Johnny tries to tell these guys that they're being tricked and Doom is using them as pawns, but Doom just tells them, no, Johnny, these patriots knew full well how these weapons operated before they picked them up. Such is their commitment to their belief in the cause of Doom. Tell me, will you respect their rights, their vision of a better planet, or will you kill them to bring about yours? Answer quickly, Richards. These choices you're making, they are being broadcast. So next, Reed is just like, well, you know, we're definitely not gonna do that. Just before Doom goes on to take this another step further. Because he says here, behold, Benjamin Jacob Grimm, the powerhouse of the Fantastic Four, a man by error and ineptitude, transformed into a monstrosity, a being so hideous, he calls himself the Thing. And as Doom is saying this, he's walking closer, the hand starts glowing green, and Ben's just like, hey, what's he doing? And Doom goes on to say, and behold, Reed Richards, our self-proclaimed smartest man, who has failed to reverse Grimm's condition ever since. It's a staggering failure, a highlight remarkable even among the litany of disappointments of Mr. Fantastic. So right away Ben's like, don't listen to him, Reed, I haven't been mad at you for years. I've made peace, I like who I am now. And Ben goes on to say, like I tell my kids, it don't matter what you look like, it only matters who you are. And this is where Doom is like, but Doom wants what's best for everyone, even for his most hated enemies. These four accuse me of weakness, of anger, of greed. And yet, in his strength, in his greatness, in his generosity, Doom now grants what Richards never could. And thus, Doom cures the unfortunate Benjamin Grimm of his condition forever. And you know, with Doom doing this live in front of the whole world, for whatever reason, I just imagine him looking in the camera like, come on people, let's get those likes up. I just cured the Thing. And then later that day, you got reaction videos going up. And in the thumbnail, you got the facial expression like what Reed's doing right now. Like, I would love to see one of those YouTube thumbnails show up in the comic. And just to be clear, I got nothing against reaction videos. I've done them before. But for whatever reason, all of these broadcasts that have happened in One World Under Doom, that have either come from Doom or other people, they have me wanting to see a chat box down in the bottom corner, just to get the people's real-time reactions, in addition to the actual reaction videos, because that parody would just be hilarious. But nonetheless, after we see Reed Richards with the thumbnail face, Doom is just like, alright, I'm out. Oh, and by the way, the Fantastic Four, they're paying for the damages to the United Nations building. And if they don't, detain them. Which again, this is Doom flipping the Fantastic Four's plan back on them. Because they intentionally came here wanting to make Doom look bad in front of the world. And he just turned that right back around on them. And even in the case of Doom curing Ben or making him human again, this isn't a first and I doubt it's a last. But Doom says this time it's permanent. And I mean, I doubt that too, because nothing's permanent in comics. But this has people all over the world, some who are Doom supporters and some who aren't, for the most part saying how Doom has made things better. And I mean, you got this one dude who looks like Donald Glover and J. Cole at the same time, who's not feeling any of it. But for the most part, you have a lot of people who are seeing good in what Doom is doing. And with hearing these reports, Carol Danvers is like, Avengers, we're losing. And really because they don't know what they're fighting. Because before they thought it was mind control, given how quickly a number of world leaders sided with Doom. So as a solution, Carol proposes a two-pronged attack, so they can find out. And to carry this out, on one end, she's going to have a group of magic wielders and espionage experts infiltrate as many capitals as they can, to get as close to as many of their leaders as possible, and find out how Doom got their support so quickly. But to make this work, they also need a distraction on the other hand. So while Wanda's team is doing their infiltration and investigation, the others will take the fight to Doom. And for a moment here, this has Tony like, well, Doom has beaten us before. So Carol tells him, not physically. We've had PR losses, but not real ones. I assure you, we are more powerful than Doom, even if he's Sorcerer Supreme. And besides, we won't be going in with just the Avengers or the Fantastic Four. And this is where we find out how much of a curveball Carol's plan really is. Because she points out here, what's happening is huge, it's global, and it transcends many of their old differences. And she lets them know this has caused them to find an unconventional group of allies, who just happen to be the Masters of Evil. And I gotta say here, it's not just Doom making the Fantastic Four and the other heroes look like the bad guys. But if you think about it, everything the heroes have done to try and stop Doom during this event, they really have been moving like villains. And they've seen defeat time after time just like some villains. So yeah, I'm not really sure if teaming up with the Masters of Evil is gonna bring them any success or make them look any better. Because so far, Doom's looking like the hero the world's always needed. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.